Back to work on the 79 Suburban. Last week when I introduced you guys to this thing, it was looking a little bit rough on the outside and on the inside. We got her fixed up, new wheels and tires, cleaned her up on the outside. And then Evan and his boys came over and we knocked out this interior, new carpet, center console, door panels. We did a lot, but still needs a lot of work, mainly under the hood. That's what we're gonna be digging into today. See what it needs. Let's check it out. So we got a factory 400 small block underneath the hood of this 79, but it's got some go fast parts on it. Edelbrock intake, Holly carb, hooker headers, sweet flaming valve covers. I will say this thing runs really good, but it just needs a little bit of help. So we're gonna check timing, tune up this carb. We got an oil change to do, get rid of that air cleaner. A little bit of power steering issues. It's a little bit notchy when you steer at low speeds, and you gotta kind of muscle it around. Then we got some wiring to clean up. Like this ground wire is way too short, so this battery doesn't even fit in here the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to be that way. A little bit of shoddy wiring on the firewall there. A lot of colorful zip ties in here. But let me show you the starter issue. It makes a god-awful noise when you start this thing. I'm hoping it's just a shimming the starter issue and not a flywheel issue. All right, hear this. Sounds pretty rough. A lot of grinding. But once it's running, it sounds fine. That's why I suspect that it's not a flywheel issue, because if that thing was loose or something, it'd probably be making noise all the time. Hopefully the flywheel still has teeth on it. Hopefully the starter's still in good shape and we can reuse it. I bought some shims, so hopefully that'll be a pretty simple fix. We're gonna try and fit the Suburban in the shop. It did fit last week, but it had the old wheels and tires on it. These are a little bit bigger than those. We did have a little bit of clearance, but it's gonna be close. Luckily it is pretty nice out though, so if it doesn't fit, we'll be all right. Get the C10 moved out. Come on now. Let her warm up a little bit. Here we go. Ooh, it might go. Oh, that is so close. We are in. Wow. We're in good shape. So first things first, I want to try and solve that starter issue. That tends to be a little bit embarrassing when it does that. Let me show you what I got for that. Starter shims. Come on down. Here's what we're getting into. So this is a 700R4 transmission, not original to the truck. So there's these two braces, I guess you could call them, on the inspection plate here. I've never seen anything quite like that. Hopefully I can just loosen them here and then swing them out of the way. Maybe. Yeah, cool. Here we got a good look at our flex plate and the starter shaft itself here. The rule of thumb is an 1/8 inch drill bit should just snugly fit between the shaft and the teeth of the flywheel. But we have a lot more than that. You can hear all that play, which is a good thing because that means our problem is pretty obvious here. The starter needs to get shimmed closer to the flywheel, and we do that by adding a shim on this side of the starter so it kind of rocks it towards the flywheel there. Now, while we're under here, I'm also going to turn the motor over just to check all these teeth. And I kind of want to check to make sure all these flex plate bolts are nice and tight. The teeth on the starter look good. Disconnect this battery right quick since we're going to be messing with that starter. Evan's here. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Hit it. So far, so good. Uh-huh. Yup. Nothing missing. Keep going. I don't know where we started. Dece. Looks good. Oh, yeah. All right, stop. Now, I just want to make sure all these torque converter to flywheel bolts are good and tight. That flex plate checks out, so we're going to shim this. Since we only want to shim one side to get it closer to the flywheel, took one of our shims here. I'm going to start with the thickest one, the 1/16 inch. Then just hack the little piece off. Could have just used a washer, I guess, but we'll do it this way. Throw this up in here, reinstall the starter, check the gap, and then repeat if necessary. Lay this right here.
Are you fixing the starter?
Yes, I am.
Is that not losing it?
How's it sound?
I don't want to do it.
We're just tightening it up. Just make sure she's snug. Oh yeah. A little bit better, but still some play. I guess we'll add another one. Now that I know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna loosen this one, pull this one all the way out, and add another shim. like that. We're out of the thick ones, so we use a 1/32. I'm just gonna throw both of these up right away and then take one out if we need it. Got it snug. Again, that's pretty good. Better than it was. I don't want to stack too many up in there. Let's start it once, see what happens. Hit the switch, bud. Oh. Sounded better, I think. Do it again. Still a little grindy, but well, I'm kind of okay with it. Just sounds like an old truck. Cool. Call it fixed. Button this up real quick and move on. I think she's good.
That sounds pretty good.
We'll get on under the hood here. Guess we'll tune the carb first and kind of go from there. Get this stupid thing off. Maybe? Or what are these? We'll be right back. Oh! First thing we want to do on this Holly is check the float level. Because if that's not right, nothing else will be right. Pull out this plug. Fuel is already dumping out. So that tells me it's already too high. Same thing for the one on the back. See what happens. Fuel's dumping out. So we'll lower these floats a little bit. We made an important discovery. The choke evidently is always open, which explains some of my cold starting issues. That's because this freaking guy, he wired it to 12 volt constant. See how that lights up? That should be on a 12 volt switched source. So when you turn on the key, it heats up the coil. The choke starts closed, and the coil heats up, and then it slowly opens it. That's how it's supposed to work, but if you just have power to it all the time, the choke will never close. So I need to find a 12 volt switched source somewhere and fix that while we're in here. All right, so to lower the float, crack this set screw, and we'll just tighten this 5/8. Do one full turn, see what happens. Yeah, same thing on the back. Loosen, tighten, quarter, full turn. Yeah, all right. Crank the engine, let it run for a second. Make sure we get fuel in both of the bowls, and then we'll check the level again. Fire it right up. All right. Checking float level. So I pulled the sight plug, and nothing came out. And then when you rock the truck, see how fuel dumps out? That's exactly what you want right there. So front, float height good. Check the back, pull the plug. A little more fuel dumped out, so we'll actually lower that a little bit more, then check it again. Lower, tighten, refill the bowl. Check it again. Man, it's still dumping out. Give it a shake. Yeah, it's still too high. See, this is what we gotta do. We just gotta play with it. Back and forth, make adjustments, check it, start it, check it, adjust, repeat. So I pretty much maxed out the adjustment on this and bottomed it all the way out. So hopefully that does the trick. No fuel dumped out. Give it a shake. Oh, we good. Perfect. Now we'll tune the rest. Let's first reset the curb idle. So you see when I move this screw, maybe, this linkage here is moving. That's your throttle blades opening up. So we're just gonna take it all the way out until those don't move anymore. So right when they stop moving, right there, we'll go in one full turn from there. And call it good. Front of the carb here, on either side, there's these two little screws right here. They're the idle mixture screws. Take them all the way in, just so they're snug, like that. And then we'll come out 1.5 turn. Passenger side, same thing, all the way in. Dang, that thing was way out. And then 1.5 turn out. So that's pretty much a basic tune. So it should fire right up on that. Let's try it. I can't reach. Dang lifted truck. Fire in the hole. That sounds pretty good. We're gonna let her warm up to operating temp. Then we can make some fine adjustments on the carb there. Yeah! Warm enough. First thing we want to do, now that's good and warm, is adjust our idle. But to be honest, that idle did sound pretty good. Got the temporary tack here that we'll set up. See what it's actually tacking at idle. Green goes to the tack, or to the distributor, and then just positive, negative.
Bam, bam.
Fire it up, bud. See where she's tacking. It's actually less than 500. It's like 400. Yeah.
Wake her up a little.
Woo! See there, it dropped back down to 500.
It definitely sounds like that a little higher.
I'll give it like a half turn. Then we'll call it good. Maybe even a quarter turn. Quarter turn. See, that almost sounds too high. I'm gonna go back to where it was. I'm gonna take that quarter turn back out of it. We're still tacking 500. I think that's pretty good. What do you think? Woo! So, before we fine-tune the carb, we're on a vacuum line adventure right now. We found a couple vacuum leaks and JB weld. So we're just trying to fix everything and get it the way it should be. We completed our quest, got all the vacuum hooked up, we think, and it's still running the same. So now we're gonna fine-tune this thing, messing with them idle mix screws. So we're gonna unplug that. That's full manifold vacuum, which means vacuum that is coming from below the throttle blades. We're gonna hook up an old vacuum gauge to get the best possible mixture. Oh, last call. We gotta let her warm back up again because we've been messing around a while. But once we do that, got our vacuum gauge hooked up, and pretty much we're just messing with these screws, probably turning them in until we're at peak vacuum. Whenever this gauge peaks out, and we'll just bring her back a little bit. Do it on both sides, kind of balance them out. Burn a hole. What's that then say? We'll start turning it in until the motor kind of bogs down. Like that. See it's dropped in vacuum? Right there. Go a half turn out from that spot. So far, so good. It's like 40 is going to be a peak. How we doing on the idle? 500? Got her tuned up. Hooked up the old timing gun just for fun. See if there's a mark on that balancer. I don't know. This freaking guy, you never know. Oh, here's the timing mark. Oh, you won't be able to see anything on camera, but there is a timing tab, but it's just covered in oil. But there's a timing mark, so that's good. It didn't look like it was too far out of whack, so I'm not even gonna bother messing with it. As long as I could see a little something on there. Sounds pretty good. We tune them by ear around here, ain't that right? Yeah, boy. On our journey to find a 12-volt switch for the choke, the main power block here, we found a lot of janky wiring. Stuff just tied together, then electrical tape. We've been fixing that, doing it kind of right, and we're just now finishing that up. And then we'll go back to getting the choke working. Yeah, all right, back in business. This freaking guy. I used the fuse block, found a 12-volt switched, using the old test light here. Here's what I come up with. See that? But when you turn the key off, no power, which is what we want. So I'm gonna run this through the firewall. Still looks a little ugly, but I promise it's better. Now, we got the choke hooked up. Choke should operate now. My cold starts should be a lot better. Ready for our normal looking air cleaner. Threading our stud. Not tall enough, so we got this thick one. That looks better on there anyway. Ooh, good spin. Real quick while I'm up here, part of my maintenance, I'll swap out the fuel filter. Who knows how old this is? Got that swapped out, easy enough. Now the next thing we're gonna tackle, I don't know if you guys could hear it when we kept firing it up, but this thing has quite an exhaust leak. It's almost like a ticking sound. Could almost be confused with a lifter tick. It's definitely coming from this side and at the back of the header there. Now it's funny because the exhaust leak is definitely coming from the passenger side, but over here on the driver's side, it's actually missing one of the bolts. We got some work to do. Picked up some ARP header bolts. We'll get those swapped out. We'll just do one at a time. That way the headers aren't falling off or anything. Before we do that, since the AC doesn't work in this truck, this compressor is just kind of sitting here. All the equipment's here, but in hopes of getting easier access at the header on the driver's side, I'm gonna see if I can get this thing off real quick. Hopefully it doesn't fight me too much. Got this pulled out. Wasn't bad at all, actually. I unintentionally kind of knocked out two birds with one stone here. I kind of hinted at it earlier that I was having power steering issues, and I suspect it was just a loose belt. So through all the taking off the brackets for the AC compressor, I ended up having to loosen up the power steering pump anyway. I'm ready to put everything back together now, so I'm gonna get this tightened up. That belt is much tighter now. Now we'll move on to the header bolts, and again, without trying, kind of segued right into it. One of the bolts for that AC bracket actually used one of the header bolts, so we need one there. There's one missing in the back, and then we'll replace the rest. Holy crap. I just went to crack this one loose. I already got the ARP in the first one, and it didn't crack loose because it's just finger tight. No wonder this thing has exhaust leaks. Good to know. Cool. All right. All the ARP hardware is in the driver's side. Tightened down. Came across something a little bit weird. On the very last one where the bolt was missing, there was 4 gaskets stacked on top of each other. I tried to put the bolt in, but it wouldn't line up because 2 of them were blocking the hole like that. So I have no idea what the heck that was all about. So I just threw one back in there, tightened them down pretty good. We'll wait to start it because that side is still pretty loud, so we won't be able to hear anything on this side probably. Got a lot more room to work over here. Got them all snugged up on that side. Really not as bad as I thought it would be, getting everything. Let's light the fire. Oh, no way. That is beautiful, one finger. I don't hear an exhaust leak. All right. Well, here's the thing. The plan was to do spark plugs and kind of organize the plug wires, but now that I've handled every single header bolt, I'm realizing that the headers are probably going to need to come off to do spark plugs. Check it out. That ain't gonna fit. I don't think the back one's gonna fit either. We'll have to save that for another day, I reckon. We will try and at least clean up the plug wires. Just these pretty simple clip things from Summit. Try and clean up, do the best I can. Looks decent. Got everything off of the headers and should do pretty good. Nothing's touching anything, so that's good. Still kind of a rat's nest in here. It'll do for now though, for sure. Next thing to do is these battery cables. You can see how the battery is supposed to be sitting in here. And there's paracord and bungee cord right here. This cable is way too short. This power cable is way too long. Battery fits in there good. That didn't really help. Didn't hold it down very well, so I still added the bungee. Got the positive connected, and now all we need to do is make a longer negative there going to the block so that'll reach all the way over here. And to do that, got this 4-gauge wire kit and some ends. Throw something together real quick, get it installed, and we should be about good to go. Got my length right, and now I'm using the press here to get these ends squished onto the wire there. Does a good job pancaking it on there. Slide up our heat shrink. Right on. All right, I had enough cable, it turns out, to do this frame ground as well. That was just a blue wire that they had stuffed into this, just no terminal ends, just stuffed in and tightened. Freaking guy. So that's all tight, good to go. Like I said, not gonna worry about the power wire. That's in good shape. Everything's buttoned up now. I don't know how, but the smallest projects just turn this place into a war zone. We're gonna let the truck warm up again, get that oil nice and hot, then we'll be ready to change it out. Then we'll go for a cruise. Good and hot under here. Don't worry, you're in a good home now. Probably still hot. Hand tight. All buttoned up underneath. Now we can add oil. I use Valvoline VR1 10W30. This is good for old flat tappet motors, high zinc content. So 5 quarts of this, and we'll check on that dipstick. Looking good on the dipstick. That means there's only one more thing left to do. Oh, brother. Holy crap. This thing feels like a whole new machine. I changed up the spring setup on the carburetor. I didn't even show you guys. I didn't think it'd make that big of a difference, but didn't even mess with timing. But between tuning the carb and messing with that spring setup, man, this thing just feels awesome. Man, what a unit. Dude, holy crap. This literally, it's complete. It feels completely different. This freaking guy. I'm glad the Suburban is in a good home now. Whew, luckily, man, this thing wasn't too far gone. Man, she's idling good. This is the best purchase I've ever made. All right, here we go. Should we? Oh, let's just stomp it, see if it breaks loose. Holy crap. That was some much needed maintenance. And we still have to do spark plugs. That could even change how it drives. Plus the timing we didn't even mess with. I don't think it needs anything. It seems to be running really good. But that should about wrap it up for this one, guys. I hope you are enjoying the Suburban as much as I am. Definitely plenty more to come, but we got to get building that CJ. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.